Would you like to live your best life possible, regardless of your imperfections? Discover cutting-edge tools and inspiration to let go of your limitations and expand your life beyond what you've ever imagined. On Imperfect, Brilliance, we help you tap into your unique gifts and talents, uncovering and letting your brilliance shine. Join certified facilitator and coach Betsy McLaughlin as she delves into different areas of your life to get unstuck and create the life that is truly possible for you. Betsy has changed her life by utilizing the tools and techniques she is sharing with you. What if your willingness to acknowledge your brilliance is the catalyst to creating a new reality? When you stop judging you, what else can you create in your life and in the world? Join Betsy live every Tuesday at 6 p.m. Eastern to create magical and joyous possibilities for an hour of laughs, questions, tips, and more. We are excited to contribute and play with you.
Welcome, welcome, everyone. I am Betsy McLaughlin. So happy that you're here with us today. And my guest is Miss Alison Cox. Welcome, Alison.
Yay, thank you, Betsy. I am so happy and honored and grateful to be here.
Wow, that's awesome. Thank you. And we are going to be talking about a really fun subject, which is embodying nature. And I love the description that Alison said, which is, what if you could actually assist and nourish the planet, the animals, the plants, and everything in between just by being you? I love that question so much. And what does it actually take to communicate, receive, contribute, and cooperate with nature? So that is what we're going to be discussing today. And you guys, just as a little bit of information on Alison, she is an Access Consciousness certified facilitator. And then she's also she's done some additional specialty certifications, which include Conscious Horse, Conscious Rider, and Talk to the Entities. And she's also a certified massage therapist, which I would love to order a massage right now. I'm just going to say it, Alison, for whenever I get to see you, put me down.
Done.
Okay, check. Check. She's also the founder of, and hopefully I say this correctly, Alivio Massage Therapy in Denver, Colorado, the United States. And since she has found the tools of Access Consciousness, as I have as well, her life has really, really changed. Her bodywork, her business, her money flows, her life and her living have exponentialized in amazing and dynamic ways. So she loves sharing the tools of Access Consciousness and her magic with the world so that others can live the life and create the living that they've always known was possible. So if you are looking for more information on Alison, her website is www.myacousticlife.com, which is, I'll spell it out for you guys as well. It's MYACOUSTICLIFE.com. So you can check out Alison and some of her offerings there, where she's got private sessions and all of her class listings. So anything you would like to add to that, Miss Alison?
No, I think that covered it. That was great. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're so welcome. So tell me, how did you come about wanting to have this discussion about embodying nature?
Oh, gosh. So, it took me a little while to think about what I would even like to talk about today, but I was like, wow, what's really up for me? What's really up for the world right now, which is obviously a lot of things going on. And what has been facilitating me the most in creating the most ease and happiness and joy in dealing with all of the things going on in the world. And that was actually connecting and contributing to and receiving from nature, which can be a whole bunch of different things. But also with all of the busyness and the monkey mind going on and like money and work and no work and lockdown and everything, sometimes we forget to stop and breathe and expand out and like remember that we're on a planet full of amazing animals and plants and people and all kinds of energies that we can't even see.
So with that, like, what are some of the things that you do when you kind of find that you're in that space of like, oh, hold on a second, I haven't been communing with nature lately. So tell us some of the things that you do that kind of gets you re-engaged.
So obviously I could just go outside and be with nature, but a lot of times that isn't quite possible. So if I'm in the office working on bodies or just busy on my computer or who knows what, just wazzing out because I need to do nothing and watch Netflix, I can also be like hanging out with nature too at the same time, even when you think you're stuck in spots where it doesn't seem like you're actually connecting with nature, you can. And one of the coolest things I heard, the easiest ways to do that is to stop thinking. So if you catch yourself thinking,
how do you do that, Alison?
Right? Exactly. Well, anytime you're thinking, so if you're like mulling over a problem or you're trying to figure something out or there's something in the future that is worrying you or that you're stressed out about, you want to just stop and relax even just for like 5 minutes, and relax all the muscles in your body, expand out, and just see, like even pretend that your energy, the energy around you, the energy of your body, can go deep into the center of the earth and expand out like 100 miles around you in all directions, and just allow things to start melting. When you're thinking, I heard Shannon O'Hara, who is the founder of Toxic Entities, say once, if you're thinking, you are disembodying. And I was like, holy crap, how often do I think, and how often do I just go straight into my head or like limitations and inventions and the trauma and drama. And whenever you're thinking, you're literally disembodying, which means you're also disembodying or disconnecting from nature too.
Yes, I was going to ask you to explain what disembodying might mean, but you just did, so thank you for that.
You're welcome.
So, and that's it. It is such a great reminder, and how quickly you talked about, you can just expand out, and you don't actually have to, be in the middle of a forest to do it. It's a great reminder, with all of the busy lives that everybody lives, that you can very, very quickly have that reconnection, like, oops, and it's such a quick thing that it actually takes us longer to talk about it than when you actually do it.
Yes. Even explaining it, I was like, wow, this is a strange thing to explain now that it's coming out of my mouth.
Yeah, it really is. And in that, the magic that all of the things are, like, could you talk a little bit about even when you're, like, what does the planet, what do the animals, what do they contribute to you by being? Oh my gosh. So they are so cool. Whenever I forget how to be me, I just ask, like, okay, well, what would nature show me? Or what would a plant show me? How does a plant be? Or how does an animal be? Do they sit there and try to figure out their taxes? Or, like, do they sit around and figure out, like, how to solve their problems? Or do they just explore
and be them. And well, I really like the example of plants a lot. So like when a plant's growing, so anything that you want to create, even if it's just your day, like what if the beginning of your day was like a seed, and you're a little seed in the morning, and the rest of your day was your space to play and create and grow. And I don't think that plants necessarily project or expect anything when they just start growing. They pop out of their little seed and they start like playing and expanding, and they don't plan out or plot out where their leaves are going to go or where their vines are going to go. They move and create and commune with their surroundings, with whether they're in a pot or they're in the ground or they have other trees and plants around, or if they're just by themselves. Wherever they're at, they are exploring and being them and then growing and expanding based on what is around them and what they have to play with.
You know, that brings in the movie Avatar. And it just reminds me, I just watched it again recently, and it's such a great reminder of how connected we all are. And we can forget, you know, we're in our own little bubble and we got our things and our lives and everything. But what I love so much about that movie is how connected everything is to everything. You know, the animals, the plants, the beings, they're all connected and they all sense and commune with each other. So what are some of the things that you do to have that sense of communion? You talked a little bit about expanding out, and then what else do you do?
So expanding out, letting, like, just even thinking of that plant and like, oh, if I was being out of control, what would I choose today? If I was being me and I was having an adventure today and I didn't have to worry about the structure of it, what would I choose and be? And then also, oh gosh, now it's leaving my head. So one of the things I like to do is, I think it's hilarious, like, oh, okay, I remember now. It came back. So this is a little out there too. So if we're all connected and we are like in the movie Avatar, they're connected to everything and everything is connected to them. And the energy that they feel in the tree is like this kind of like natural internet or like natural connection. They can hear like the laughter and the voices and the energy of the trees and probably other planets and who knows what, just the energy of the universe. And so if you're connected to all of that, what if that means that you are also a part of everything? So, and this can sound kind of like woo-woo, but like, what if everywhere you look, there you are, and like you are in and a part of everything? Therefore, the energy that you're being, the joy that you have, the joy that you're being is actually contributing to and or affecting everything and everyone around you. So are the, like any of the contracted things too. If you're contracting, if you're worrying, if you're not being happy, if you're creating problems or something, or you're functioning from a limitation, are you being as much of a contribution to the world as you could be, the universe? And if everyone started to, and like, I know that nature, plants, animals, the universe, they don't exactly, like, does a puppy or a bird wake up in the morning and just start thinking about all of its problems, or does it wake up and does it start singing or start like barking and playing, or what do the animals do? And the joy that the animals be and like the ease that they be and the space that they be, same with the plants, is affecting you. And you can receive from that energy of like ease and space and happiness.
Wow. I love that question. And, you know, when you are asking that question, like, are you already doing it by just asking the question?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, this isn't anything. This is actually something that you can't. There is no how. The only thing, the how is the question. So just asking, like, hey, Earth, what can I contribute to you today? Or Earth, what can I receive from you today? Or like a lot of times I'll be or I am in Denver a lot now these days, and I'll just like think about the ocean and dolphins or whatever, and I'll be like, oh, dolphins, that sounds nice. I'm like, hey, you guys, what are you up to today? Like, what energy can you contribute to me? And hey, what can I contribute to you? And it just opens up this energetic connection with things that you aren't even close by. And you can, again, go into nature and do this too, but it's so fast, and it's something that you already be. So basically, anytime that you're thinking is when you're blocking it out. Anytime that you're concluding or thinking or judging or just having a problem is the only time that you are not able to have the space that you could be when you're communing with nature.
Yeah. And thank you for bringing in that you can connect with anything, any place, anywhere. And one of the things I love to do if I'm feeling like really stressed or whatever is I tap into a place that I love to go. Like for me, there's a couple of just beautiful, like crystal clear blue water in the Caribbean, and at a tiny island, right, with white sand, and you know, you can close your eyes and be there energetically, and then I just can feel everything, my body relaxing and tapping into that energy. So I love the question that you shared, like, what can all of that contribute to you, and what can you contribute to that?
Right.
Right. It is really, and here's our first break. And when we come back, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about that co-creation, co-contribution with each other. So stay tuned, you guys, for more conversation with Embodying Nature with Alison Cox and Betsy today. Thank you. Yay.
Free your mind with OMTimes Radio, IOM FM.
OMTimes magazine is one of the leading online content providers of positivity, wellness, and personal empowerment. A philanthropic organisation, their net proceeds are funneled to support worldwide charity initiatives via Humanity Healing International. Through their commitment to creating community and providing conscious content, they aspire to uplift humanity on a global scale. Connect at OMTimes.com. OMTimes, creating a more conscious lifestyle.
My name is Victor Furman. Some call me The Voice. I've always been fascinated with human nature, spirituality, science, and the crossroads at which they meet. Join me Wednesdays at 8 p.m. Eastern on OMTimes Radio, and we'll explore these topics and so much more on Destination Unlimited.
Are you looking to change anything in your life? To have an even greater appreciation of everything around you? Would you enjoy having a life of more joy and greater abundance? And explore what is possible for you? My name is Betsy McLaughlin, and I invite you to explore simple and pragmatic tools that I share on my radio show, Imperfect, Brilliance. I know firsthand that you can change anything. We explore tools and questions with amazing guests, offering all kinds of conversations on living your best life. I invite you to listen in Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern to Imperfect Brilliance. Consider a coaching call with me, and let's explore what you would like your life to be like. Visit my website at www.creatingyumminess.com, and you're invited to call in to Imperfect Brilliance with your questions, Tuesdays at 3 p.m. Pacific, 6 p.m. Eastern. I look forward to connecting.
social distancing tip.
Putting distance between yourself and others is critical to slowing the spread of coronavirus. So here are ways to stay in contact without the physical contact part. Call, send a text, set up a video conference, post on social media, dedicate a song on the radio. If you have symptoms of fever, dry cough, and shortness of breath, call your healthcare provider before going to their office. For more info, visit coronavirus.gov.
Let's all do our part, because we're all #alone together. Brought to you by the Ad Council.
We are here with Alison Cox today, and we are talking about nature and the beauty of nature, the joy of nature, and how quickly we can reconnect. And Alison, so I had asked you if you would talk a little bit more about that piece, and I had shared with you, like, you know, how I will just connect in with a favorite place in the world, and it gets me to just this space of relaxation, and in my mind's eye, I'm there, and I can feel the sun on my shoulders, and I can hear the waves going, and, you know, the birds and all of that, and for me, it's such a beautiful way to connect, and that's one of the ways that I do. What are some other things that you do?
Well, it's kind of like an ongoing exploration of this. We weren't raised, I don't know, some people might have been, but I definitely was not raised to like function energetically with nature or even connect. And so now there's like so much that we can explore just by asking. So I was like, I've been asking, like, if I was totally undefined and if I allowed my body to be totally undefined. So like, if does a horse know that it's a horse? What's a horse to a horse? And does a horse know how it's supposed to act? And does a horse know how, like, exactly what the perfect horse is? Or is it born and then does it just become its own unique being? And so a lot of times in the people world, we are all trying to become the correct form of what the correct version of a human is. Sometimes the media would tell us, like, hey, this is too big, this is too small, this is too old, this is too young, this is too much, too little, too much. And there's all of this, like, this big race to become the perfect human, or else you can go judge yourself and then you're not good enough, and or whatever. You just totally disconnect from everyone. So judgments are one of our biggest ways to disconnect. So I've been exploring, like, hey, what would it be like if I didn't have a judgment of my body and I didn't have a judgment of what I was supposed to be here based on human reality? What would it be like if I allowed myself and my body to be what we came here to be, that I can't even define? Nature, show me. Universe, show me. Like, what else is possible today? Wow. And I sometimes I'll look at how animals move. Like, one time I just was watching a seal swim at the zoo, and I was like, man, that seal really knows how to move, like, with the earth, or it just really knows its body, and it can move so well. Like, and then I'm like, oh, and so do wolves, and so do tigers, and horses, and animals. Like, they have a connection. Humans tend to, as they get older, become really rigid, and you know, things start to break down, and all sorts of things, strange things happen. But animals seem to have this magical way, this mysterious way of being in communion with the earth, but like, and their bodies. So their bodies move in different ways. So I like to ask, like, okay, body, like, if we were functioning with the earth, not just being on the earth as a human, however humans should be, if we were functioning as an animal, or like whatever our bodies can be with this planet, if I was to allow my body to move with the earth and allow the energies of the earth to show me what that movement is, what could show up. And I've just been, like, asking that a lot lately. Like, if I were and just seeing what shows up. There is no like special target or like, now I know that I am one with nature and I'm one with the earth. It's just a constant question and like perceiving and just a gift, like an exploration of this.
Mm-hmm. And in the constant exploration of it, what has that contributed to you in your life?
I would say, like, being able to do, like, skiing, for instance. This is like a silly example, but I go skiing maybe once a year. I never have taken lessons. And in the beginning, it was pretty funny. Sometimes it is still funny, but I was definitely not like really great at skiing in the beginning. Then I took a class called the Symphony of Possibilities with Dr. Dane Heer, who is one of the founders of Access Consciousness. And I noticed like the next time I went skiing, all of a sudden, like it was really easy and I was able to move really well on my skis. And then I started playing with questions like, okay, mountain, like all the lifetimes I've ever known how to ski, or all the lifetimes in whichever I embodied and was like one with movement on a mountain even, or on the snow or on ice. I would like all that back, please. And I would like any information on how to do this easier. Earth, what do you know? Body, what do you know? So asking these questions and playing with the energy of like literally just asking my body, hey, what do we know about skiing? And allowing the movement and the fear to melt away of, I don't know how to ski. I only go once a year. I've never had lessons. I'm in the Rocky Mountains where everyone dies. Like not listening to any of the chatter in my head, but communing, going at my own space, challenging myself to go faster. And then like this year, I think I've only gone once. It was like, I had skied all year and all season, and I was just flying down the mountain, and it was actually fun. I couldn't say it was always fun at the beginning because I was terrified, but asking the earth and my body what it knows and, hey, is this fun for you, has really, like, you can do that with anything, with jogging or walking, swimming, like anything, parkour.
So I love this conversation really on so many different levels. And the asking for the communing and asking for the embodiment, even just in doing that.
Yeah.
Are you changing things?
Oh, so much. And it's so weird just to ask, because we're taught that we need to learn. Like we're taught that we need to like take lessons or find the right program to get us where we think we need to be going.
Right.
But we don't have to. The easiest thing, it's just been really easy. It's like, oh, if I think of something, if I would like something, I can ask for it. And then the whole universe, all of nature, all of the molecules, everything starts to contribute in showing that or gifting that request to me. And so then it's just up to me to like receive and perceive what and acknowledge like what is actually showing up.
Well, that brings up some energies that I'm curious about where and I've had people say this to me, so I would love to hear what you have to say on this, what your questions would be, is if somebody's like saying that might be great for you, but I can't perceive energy. I don't feel anything. I don't sense anything. What would you say there?
Oh my gosh. Well, I know how you feel, quote unquote. I did not know before I started using the tools of Access Consciousness or even diving into the world of energy. I had no idea what any of that stuff was. I thought it sounded really cool, and it was for other people, and it was for magical people and mystical people and witches and whatever people, like in my head, I'm like, oh, people in India, or like, you know, that are witch doctors and all of that stuff. So it was not for me. The more I started traveling, actually like my business really helped me to get into it. So growing up, I just loved traveling, but I had a lot of anxiety, and So I would like basically force myself to travel and live with other families and just go do all of these crazy fun, quote unquote, things. But also I had this huge amount of anxiety that I just never showed anybody. Fast forward to access consciousness and talk to the entities and doing energy work, I realized that when I was going to these different places, I was aware of energy. So even acknowledging that like anxiety or pain or depression is all a perception of energy. So if you don't think that you get it, like how much pain do you have, or how many problems do you have, or how much anxiety do you have? Hey, guess what? You're aware of energy. So
that's a great example, because I'm pretty sure most people have had some kind of pain in their body at some point in their life.
Correct. So using these tools, once you start acknowledging like, hey, this is energy, and hey, this might not even be mine. This might not even be mine. This could just be something I'm perceiving. Like when I started to travel and land in different countries, I would just sometimes I had to stay in the airport for hours because I just froze with anxiety and fear. And I couldn't make a decision. I probably, if I had told anybody this stuff, could have been thrown in the loony bin, but now I can because it's easier. But I wouldn't be able to leave the airport because I couldn't make a decision. I couldn't make a choice. I didn't know where to go or what to do. And I was just frozen with anxiety. Once I heard that hey, maybe everything you're aware of isn't yours, and that there's other energies around you, there's other points of view, good, bad, and ugly, and you can be aware of them and not actually take them on. That changed everything. So now it's just easier. If a pain or a problem shows up and I start thinking, I'm like, ooh, I am anxious. I'm thinking. I am disembodying from space. I'm starting to feel things. So I also got a tool hey, being you doesn't feel like anything. And when you're in communion with nature, it doesn't really feel like anything. So when I land somewhere, or if I'm just here in Denver and I start to feel thoughts, feelings, and emotions, I get to start asking, oh, is this an energy? What energy is this? Is this mine? Is this someone else's? What am I aware of? And that starts to shift the energy. This is just something a lot of people are going to have to play with too, because saying it and explaining it is one thing versus oh, what if this isn't mine? And just see what shows up. Anything that's heavy is not yours. You've probably said that on this show before, I'm assuming.
Yes, I have. But it's a great reminder that, so anything heavy is not yours. And you really did such a great explanation here. And so if somebody is sensing, well, what do you mean by heavy?
Right. What do you mean by heavy? So heavy is when your whole world feels contracted or slightly contracted. Anything that doesn't feel space isn't yours, which I know I've been in situations where everything feels heavy, no matter how many questions I ask, but I still get to acknowledge that none of that, those crappy thoughts, those crappy feelings or emotions are mine, and eventually they start to dissipate. But one question I love to ask to get out of feeling heavy or feeling contracted or not feeling like you're communing with nature or the planet or being space, is if I were truly being me, who or what would I be? What energy would I be? And every time I ask that, it kind of relaxes my body. And it's not I don't just go specifically to a feeling or a thought. I don't feel like anything. It's just something starts to relax and release. And I'm like, wow, I don't really feel like anything, but this is nice. I think I'll stay here versus go into that gunky heavy feeling instead.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that was a good explanation.
Well, I thought it was, but it's also too, for me, when that, the difference for me of the heavy, like you said, is the constriction. And it's just like, if you're ever in a thing where you're forcing yourself to do something, that could be another way that maybe you sense that heavy energy, and it's like, it's like moving through sludge or something, and it's not light, it's not joyful, it's not fun. For me, those are some of the different ways that heavy energy will show itself.
Present. Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And, so with the heavy and the light energies and then nature, what does nature contribute to, like, shifting where you might be aware of a heavy or a dense energy? Does it always contribut and lighten things up for you, or?
Oh, yeah. Well, two things. Don't let me forget where it could seem like it doesn't sometimes. So, but first,
okay.
First of all, like, if I am in that heavier, constricted energy, or I'm just like thinking and I'm not actually like relaxing and it just feels gross. Like, some people like that, and some people are just used to that and they like to keep on going with that, and that is totally cool. I personally don't like that, so I'm like, so I will even I can see the mountains from my apartment building in Denver, so I will just look out there, or I'll look at the plants in my apartment. And you can even ask, like, hey, so what do you think about this? And obviously the plants in the mountains don't think, but they'll show you an energy of being like no point of view about it. And they're no point of view. They're just being an energy. That energy, when you ask, hey, what do you think about this? You just allowed that plant or the mountains or whatever it is, your dog, to contribute their space of peace to whatever it is. So that's one little trick I like to use. Like, oh, hey, are you guys like worried about this too? Nope, you're definitely not. Oh, great. Why do I have to be then? If a plant or an animal doesn't understand it, that means it's made up. It's an invention.
It's an invention. Right. I love that. Thank you. Well, I think
we're really good at that.
I know. We
great.
certainly are. And boy, we're really good at it. So here's our second break, you guys. Stay tuned for a little more fun with Alison and Betsy. Yay!
Connecting you with the best of the conscious minds in the world. OMTimes Radio. IOM FM. Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
Hello, I'm Sandy Sedgbeer, host of OMTimes Magazine's flagship radio show, What is Going On? My passion is sifting through information, research, and innovations from new thought teachers, speakers, and researchers, pushing back the boundaries of what we know about life, energy, metaphysics, and the universe. I love shifting perceptions about who we are, why we're here, and how quickly impossible becomes normal when we open our minds, expand our awareness, and accept that the only limits that exist are those we place upon ourselves. So if you're the kind of forward-thinking, eager investigator of what lies beyond the current reality that most perceive, why not make a date to come play with me in the field of possibilities at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time every Thursday, and together we can discover what's really going on.
Hey, hon, what you doing with your phone? Taking pictures?
No, I'm asking it questions.
Like what?
Hey, Bobo, do flowers have best friends?
I'm sorry. I'm afraid I don't know that.
Hey, follow me. I want to show you something. Look. flowers do have best friends.
Whoa.
Some answers can only be found in nature. Discover the unsearchable. Visit discovertheforest.org to find a trail near you. Brought to you by the United States Forest Service and the Ad Council.
And we're back talking about embodying nature today. Yay! Oh, Alison, I'm loving this conversation, truly. And it's always a great reminder. Great reminder of how quickly we can reconnect if we've disconnected, how we can charge our batteries. And, you know, one of the things that I mentioned about Alison is she's also a conscious horse, conscious rider, facilitator. Yay. And the energies of horses have popped in a couple of times on the different things that we've been talking about. So would you tell everybody how working with the horses has contributed to this, well, our conversation today, as well as to how it's contributed to you? And yeah, I would love to just hear.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. I'm like, ooh, horses. I kind of just flipped my paper over and wrote down horses because they were pretty loud just now, and you are a psychic mind reader. I was like, oh, good. That's what I was going to talk about, or was hoping you would talk about. So horses, like, so when you ask and you just think about energy, it's like, okay, I don't know if I can feel it. You can't see it. You can't smell it. Like, okay, what the heck is energy? So, and you're like, okay, yeah, I can ask nature, but what does that even mean? Like, I'm asking, but nothing, maybe a bug flew by your window or whatever. But horses have actually chosen to play with us humans and show us, they're like willing to be there with us through thick and thin and show us like they are always connected to nature, and they will facilitate you with whatever you ask. So if you want to know more about yourself, or, hey, could you facilitate me with fear, or could you facilitate me with money or relationships or anything, you can always go ask a horse, and it will. And it never shows up how you think it's going to.
Wow.
Ever.
So do you have an example you can give us?
Yeah. Well, one of my favorite examples was, I was at a ranch in Texas, Gary and Dane's ranch, and I was on the founders of Access Consciousness. I was on this horse there riding, and this is like, I had been pretty frustrated. Like, I had created a whole lot of really cool things with my life and Access Consciousness and my business, but it kind of plateaued, and I was starting to get really frustrated about a lot of things. So I got on this horse, and I was supposed to be like, you know, pretty good rider. I'm a conscious horse, conscious rider, facilitator, and I should know what the heck I'm doing. And this horse was the crazy horse. I was like, oh my God. And I knew I was offered a nicer, like not nicer, but like a calmer horse earlier on, but for some reason I just kind of kept my mouth shut, and someone else took that horse. And this horse that was being crazy in the corner that I had kind of been looking at, they're like, all right, Alison, you're riding this one. It's like intermediate. Is that okay? I'm like, yeah, of course. And so I got on this horse, and it was so alive, which was amazing, but it also did like the opposite of everything I asked it to do. So they're like, this horse, you can't use the reins. You basically just have to think at it, and it will go where you'd like. And I'm like, awesome. I know. That sounds great to me. Cool. Let's do it. So anytime I would think forward, it would go backwards. Anytime I would think stop, it would start going faster. And I was like, oh my God. And then we went out into, I know. I was like, what is this? What did I ask for?
What is going on here?
Yeah.
Talk about letting go of control, right?
Yes. Oh my gosh.
Goodness.
They're so good at facilitating all of your bullshit, like almost faster than you want them to. But we went out into the field, and I'm like, we go to the back of the field, and there's a barbed wire fence back there, and my horse goes and rides right next to it. So like my legs are just a couple inches from it, and I'm like, oh my God. And everyone's like, get away from the fence. And I'm just like expanding out, trying to be space. I know that horses can pick up on fear. So I'm just like, oh my gosh, like why are we riding by this barbed wire fence when there's a whole like field of green grass everywhere? And finally, I got the horse to turn and go back and get off. But I was so frustrated afterwards, and I was so like making myself wrong. Like I was just judging myself like crazy, and I was like, what the hell was that? And I can't tell you how many times I've asked for change, and I've asked horses to facilitate me, and not all the time. Sometimes it's beautiful and wonderful and everything you think it would be, and sometimes it is frustration, like growing pains and confusion, because you're like, what the heck? However, I asked a question, and I said, okay, what is right about this I'm not getting? Like, what is this horse showing me? And it took 2 days for me to get the awareness of what this horse was showing me. And I was like, oh my God, this is what I've been doing with my whole life. Like, I literally would go travel and do classes and like do all of these things. And then I'd come back with like $1 left in my pocket. And like, everything was always like exciting, but really stressful. And I was like, shit, that's, excuse me for swearing. Are we allowed to swear in here? I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, oh my gosh, I have been riding like against the barbed wire fence. And that's exactly what I've been doing. I'm not like killing myself. I'm not injuring myself, but I am creating a lot of unnecessary stress when I could just be riding out into this big open field of green, and my life could be easy and fun and joyful. And the moment I acknowledged that, literally the energy of like my creations and business and everything changed again, and everything got so much easier and so much more space. And I couldn't explain to you how. It's just the horse and the energy it was being, and what's like its connection with earth and facilitation and creating more ease, and its sheer like desire to gift to me. Well, no matter what it looked like, I was able to receive that, even though it was painful and frustrating. But once I did, it completely changed everything. So,
holy guacamole, what an amazing realization. And I hope that you're actually taking a moment to also acknowledge you, Alison, because there would be a lot of people who would have that situation, and they would just be stuck on being mad at the horse, or
right.
Like, why the heck did this happen, and not be able to go beyond it. And then you, right? So I really hope that you're acknowledging that for yourself.
Oh, thank you. I don't know that I forgot about that.
Okay, well, you have now.
Yes. That's
Yay.
awesome. Right.
Yeah,
so,
right. And
ahead.
in that, like the ability, the willingness to go beyond your frustration and say, hey, what is right about this I'm not getting? Which is a beautiful question to ask in any situation, including ones where you're pissed off and you're, like whatever, and you just can't get it. Like that question will get you out of trying to figure it out, and stuff will show up. So it, may have taken Alison a little bit of time, but she got she got it. And the willingness to ask that question, and then to see where, how that is paralleling things that you've been choosing in your life. And then you're like, you know what? That's not working for me anymore, and I'm going to change it.
Yeah.
And then it's like, what a beautiful example. And I'm going to remember this one. And I wonder in my own life, how, where am I so close to the barbed wire, and that,
right.
If I would look to the left, there's this beautiful open green space that I could be running in. I love that analogy so much. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that with us.
You're welcome.
Wow.
I know. It took it being a real life analogy in order for me to get it, but I'm glad I got it.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, well, no wonder the horse wanted to be sure that we talked about the contribution that horses are And, you know, in this conversation today, my goodness gracious. And, you know, I've heard this several times from different people about how horses really do contribute to people. And
they do.
Yeah, and they're constantly facilitating you. And there was a funny story. I don't know. I think this was the first time I actually met you too. See if you remember this. Was at the Facilitator training in Costa Rica.
Costa Rica, I absolutely remember.
And there was somebody who went during the lunch breaks and before classes start, you can go horseback riding. And somebody had gone riding during the break, and she came up to the microphone and she was talking to to Gary and Dane, the facilitators, about their experience. And she said, yes, she had a great time. She said, well, until I got thrown off the horse. And she was a little frustrated with the horse. And Gary was like, hold on a second. He said, what were you thinking right before you fell off the horse? And she's like, I was thinking how hot I was, and we were in a stream, and I was thinking how nice it would feel to have the water. And he's like, of course, everybody in the class is laughing. And she's like, and he said, do you think that the horse didn't hear your thoughts about wanting to cool off and was just answering your request? And, you know, because like, were you hurt? She was, no, not at all. I just was like, what the heck? Why am I in the water now? And it was just like, it's like, oh my God, I was laughing so much. That's how connected we all are, but we don't think we are.
Right.
And here's the horse hearing her thoughts, wanting to be cooled off. And she took care of her, didn't hurt her. And he's like, did it feel good? It actually felt really good, and I cooled off because it was one of those very hot Costa Rica days.
Yeah.
And so I just wonder, like, for all of us, what can this conversation contribute to all of us? Right. And as we're wrapping up this time together today, Alison, what other questions could you share with us about, you know, embodying, communing, co-creating with nature, you know, wherever you would like to maybe talk about that we haven't touched on yet?
Oh my gosh, just literally asking a question. So the question is, ask a question. So like every day, wake up, Earth, what can I contribute to you today? Earth, what can you contribute to me today? And like, what is it you truly desire the planet to be like in 5 or 10 years? And just start asking for that. Like, what would you like your body to be like? What would you like the earth to be like? What would you like? Would you like free open spaces for your dogs to run around without getting hit by cars? Like, what would you like? If it's anything, what would you ask for? And would you let the earth and nature facilitate that?
Ooh, I like it.
Yay!
Yeah. And so then how do you get out of the way to allow nature to facilitate that?
Oh, I get in the way all the time. So if you get in the way, don't make yourself wrong. I don't think, like, what if you never got out of the way? Like, what if there was no, like, agenda for being perfect? And if you got in your way, if you get in your way, okay, awesome. Great, I'm getting in my way. Just like riding the barbed wire fence forever and not knowing it till just a couple of years ago. So just give yourself a break. If you're getting in your way, what question can you ask? Like, okay, what else is possible here I've never considered? This seems impossible. What else is possible? If there are infinite possibilities and nature wants to contribute to me, what else is possible here? And how does it get any better? And what's right about me I'm not getting?
Those are all great questions. And she rattled off a lot of them really quickly. So if you guys might want to, listen to this replay again and write them down. But because there are just so so many gems, and you could play with one of them. Just take one of these and see what it contributes to your life. And
absolutely,
the question of asking, you know, what we can contribute to nature and these beautiful, amazing earths that we are all so blessed to be on. And, you know, what would nature also like to contribute to us? And it's funny, it's popped in like twice now. It's like, okay, I'll share this quick story here. So I was doing an energetic session on somebody, and they were in my house with me. So it was a really nice session, and I was looking out the window and asking the trees to contribute. And it was such a beautiful communion of all of it together. So you can ask anytime, you guys. Anytime.
Absolutely. Betsy, thank you so much.
Yay,
I adore
thank
you.
Thank you. Thank you for coming and playing. Alison Cox, everybody. Have a great week.
Yay.
Bye.
Thank you.